Okay, so welcome to another episode of our show. It's the Ant and Jer show where we discuss personal development ideas and we get diverse perspectives so we can look at the same thing from different points of view to expand our awareness and accelerate our learning so we can take new positive actions. So this week it's Jer's turn to bring an idea to the table. So I'm going to hand it over to Jer and I'm going to put the idea up on the screen.
Thanks, Ant. Here we go. So, so what I got from Earl Nightingale today, which is something obviously I've heard quite a lot of, but it just stood out to me today. So everyone, it's a really good one, this one, and it's really good messaging in this. Everyone is born helpless and totally independent on their environment. A winner successfully makes the transition from total helplessness to independence and then to interdependence. So what Earl Nightingale means when he says winner, he doesn't mean like a winner that wins over somebody. He's on about a winner who is authentic to themselves, a person who's winning at life, basically. A person who is autonomy. So everyone is born helpless and totally independent on their environment. So we need to break this down a little bit. So what Earls basically mean is when everybody's born, we're born helpless. Like a baby is born helpless and we're completely dependent on our environment. We're completely independent on our parents, our guardians, to teach us everything we know about life. You know, if you look at a small child, even if he's 3, 4, 5, or 6, his understanding of life is what he sees from his parents. He doesn't know about the real world yet. So what his parents teach him is how human beings should act, and that's his environment. And your parents and guardians, and you create that environment around a young child. So everybody is born helpless and totally independent of their environment. So you naturally will soak up your whole environment from what you've been taught as a child. So what Earl then goes on to say is a winner successfully makes the transition from total helplessness to independence. So I read this as you start to grow, a winner then starts to do his own thinking. So he's not helpless anymore. So he goes into independence. So you become an independent person, you grow up. But obviously, when you grow up and you're a young adult, you're going to carry the belief system that your parents passed down to you into that young adulthood. But you are an independent person. Now, are you doing your independent thinking is another question. So in that point, you become from helplessness to independence. So you fend for yourself because your parents have taught you everything. So you leave home. That's what their job is. And then he goes on to go and then into interdependence. There's a couple of ways you can look at interdependence, and I think interdependence is where you do your through thinking, is where you start to question the belief system you were taught as a kid, and you start doing your own thinking for yourself, and you become your own person. And you become you're interdependent. I might be wrong in that one, but that's where I take on that. So it's all about the transition of growing from your environment, and then becoming independent, and then to become your own person, then your own thinking with your own belief system. So you take on the knowledge of all around you, and you look at the knowledge from your past and go, is that correct? Should I keep that belief system that my parents or family members or whoever taught me when I was a kid? Does that serve me now as an adult? Yeah, and that's where you move from your helplessness to your independent state. So what's your view on that one, Ant?
Yeah, this is a really good spot, and we should have dug it out earlier, really, because interdependence is something that I'm not 100% sure on what it means. I have
No.
been meaning to study it because I did read it in Stephen Covey's book, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And from reading that book just the once, I'm pretty sure interdependence means you're able to work with others and get a lot of things done, get your message across, and you're able to work with others and get things done without you having to be there. So I think independence is being able to fend for yourself and work like for yourself sort of thing and think for yourself. And then interdependence is where you go up and level from that and you manage to rally a group of people together to execute your idea. I'm pretty sure that's what interdependence means, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Definitely need to have a look at this, that interdependence word, 100%. So just going through the whole idea. So yeah, everyone is born helpless and totally dependent on their environment. Yeah, I think you covered that really well. We're all just born wherever we're born, and we have our guardians around us, and they got certain habits, they got certain behaviors, they take us to certain places, they have certain views and opinions, and because we're hearing it over and over again, this is where the repetition comes in. We are dependent on that environment for, first of all, for our food and our health and making sure we get to school or whatever it may be, our safety, and also from an emotional standpoint as well, because at that point we know no different. We are just totally dependent on these people. In our eyes, they are the be all and end all, really. They are responsible for looking after us, and we are dependent on that environment. And yeah, so all of the conditioning is done here, like all of the conditioning, like so much of it. And then a winner successfully makes the transition from total helplessness to independence. So this is almost like a life story, really. You're born totally dependent, but then a winner, you can only become a winner when you reach adulthood, really, and make that transition from not being helpless in that environment to independent now. And at first, you're bound to just be independent in a way which carries all of those beliefs, all of those behaviors, everything that you've sort of inherited from your environment when you were born. Not everything, but a large majority of it, like you could say maybe 80% of it, of course, you are still going to have some of your own beliefs and some of your own ways of doing things. But I think a large part of that conditioning, where all those habits are and all of those unconscious responses to life are concerned, are going to be dependent on that environment. And then a winner successfully makes the transition from total helplessness to independence. So, in order to think for themselves and be aware that they might not be on the right path for them, takes a lot of self-awareness and it takes a lot of sort of self-discovery. So then they can go through all that conditioning and realign it so they can start becoming their own person and actually thinking and acting for themselves. And then once they've mastered that, they become real clear on what they want, like real super granular clear. And then if I've got the word interdependence right, that's when they can make another step up to gather the right people and attract the right people around them who can then execute their vision or their ideas. And that's the way I see that. Only if I've got interdependence right, that is.
Yeah, that's a really good point, mate, on interdependence. Yeah. It's I've kind of thought of another way you could really look at it because after this clip, he says a loser does not. So I think as well, because a winner successfully makes a transition from total helplessness to independence. So I think there's an analogy behind this, basically saying that if you don't make the transition to independence, you're basically not getting rid of your limiting beliefs from your past. So you're staying, because he says after that, a loser does not. So a loser won't shed his limiting beliefs, and he'll carry them through his whole life, and they'll hold him back, and then he'll moan about everything that is not going well in a person's life because he's got his limiting beliefs, or she's got his limiting or her limiting beliefs from the past. So you're kind of still helpless from your past. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, you're still
Even though you're
dependent.
an adult, you're not independent. You're still helplessness because you're still carrying through your childhood environment. Now,
Yeah.
if it wasn't a great one, but it doesn't matter even if it was a great one, you'll still have limiting beliefs from a childhood. It's impossible not to have them. It's impossible. So you're still helpless as an adult because you're still living the paradigm, the limiting beliefs of a child. So I think that's what you may actually think that's what he means in it, more than my first view on it, because once you get rid of your limiting beliefs and you're not wobbling and work like in your old limiting beliefs, you're an independent person then. That you are your own person because you created your own belief system. You created your own paradigm. You shedded the limiting beliefs of the past and you created new empowering beliefs for yourself. You've got a new identity. And I think then maybe interdependence is exactly what you said at. It's the next level up. It's like the real creative, like what you were born to do then. You're working with other people, you're interdependent. Is it like you're interdependent? You can bounce in around because nothing's holding you back anymore. So
Yeah, that's
you can,
right. I've had to cheat, by the way. So
uh,
interdependence is
yeah, come on.
the dependence of two or more people on things or things on each other. So yeah, it's what I was getting at, I think, is the
It's
state of being dependent upon one another, interdependent of two.
basically what we're doing then, in a way. We're interdependent because we can speak intelligently about stuff and not end up, I don't know, in an argument or something about it. You know what I mean? Along that type of lines. So it's a higher level.
Yeah.
Like people aren't going to you got to get it offensive because you're an intelligent person that is, you know what I mean, in a very positive vibration that you can really work with people and get the creativeness out of everybody, or you're a great person to be around. You're a really good human being, so to speak. Um, Interdependence. Yeah, it's I need a bit more study as well on it. But definitely, yeah, helplessness to independence. I think he means because so basically he's explaining at the start that like what I explained at the start is you create your environment, your belief system. Then if you carry that into your adulthood, you're helpless, and then you have to shed it to become independent. Yeah, you need to be an independent person. Like your parents can teach you like the fundamentals of life, and that's their job. I'm a parent. I teach my three children everything about life. Um, but when they become young adults, it's their job to figure out life as well. I can only show them what I think my life and life should be, which is quite positive, and you know what I mean. A good way of teaching, I think I'm doing. Fingers crossed. But it's still their job to figure out their own belief system as well. and make decisions, and then they'll have to question my belief system, which is a natural thing. But a lot of adults don't do that. They just carry on drifting through life, and not dealing with their limiting beliefs, their old paradigm, and some of that limiting, and then people don't live a fulfilled life from that. So if you don't shed these beliefs, then you might end up in a job that you don't want to be in because you're too scared to, quit the job and get the real job that you really want, but your limiting beliefs are holding you back because you think, oh, I'm going to do it, and then oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not confident enough to be in that role, or I don't have the brains to do that. And they're the limiting beliefs that you may have got from school, or someone might have said something to you when you were a child that knocked your confidence, a school play, anything along that lines that could knock your confidence when you were a kid. And then you carry that belief into adulthood, and then it holds you back. It holds you back in relationships, in work, all aspects of your life. So to shed your limiting beliefs, you need to look at yourself. And when you get fear and anxiety, you need to question, why is that coming up in my life? Or why am I procrastinating on a certain subject? Or, and then you need to investigate it and remove it. Find out what is holding you back and remove it. And then you get to live a more independent life. You live the life you were meant to live. Yeah, what's your take, and
Yeah, so yeah, you summed that up really well. And I think that first step, yeah, it has to work in that way, helplessness to independence and then to interdependence. I don't think you could jump, from helplessness to interdependence because you haven't really found yourself and you found your vision. You haven't really found none of that. You're sort of unable to sort of stand alone. And the reason why this is so important is because this audio that we're studying is based on decision making. And Earl is talking about decisions that bring you face to face with the best possible life for you. So, in order to do that, you need to have an independent, let's say, vision. And then, if this is the best possible life for you, you're gonna need people around you to help you actualize that vision. And that's where it goes to interdependence. And like you were saying, a lot of people will never investigate their limiting beliefs. And that's okay as long as they're okay. It becomes a problem when a person's getting burnt out, stressed, or even depressed or suicidal or whatever because they don't feel fulfilled, they don't like their job or whatever. That's when it becomes a problem because there's a reason why they're feeling that way. And the reason is because they're not on the right track for them. If they were on the right track, they wouldn't be feeling those feelings. It's not that there's nothing wrong with them at all. It's the question always is, well, something happened to them that led them to this point, and now they don't like where they are, and they don't really know where they want to go because they haven't ever thought about it or given it any thought, any independent thought, shall we say.
Mhm.
And that's why these feelings come up. And let's say you've been doing a job for 25 years, well, and you don't like it. Well, the thought of leaving that job and doing something that you want to pursue is a scary thought. And loads of beliefs are going to come up, like loads of limiting beliefs, and they're going to trigger you and they're going to send fear through your body. And if you don't understand what's going on, it's likely that you won't make that shift. The trouble with that is you get more stress, you get more burnt out, depressed. It could affect your relationships. It could affect your health. You could take on drinking or whatever, just trying to sort of dumb down that pain or whatever. When really it's just a load of inner beliefs. It's an inner self-image. And once you understand how all of that was formed, it was merely formed through repetition. That was the only way it was formed. It's like our names. If we were called our name once today, we wouldn't know what our name was. We wouldn't respond to it. But because it was told to us over and over and over and over again, that is why now, if someone says my name, I would just like turn around, even if they're not even talking to me, they're talking to another run, but I will turn around immediately. It's a thought habit, it's an idea that's deep in my subconscious mind. It's so deep there. But it's the same with anything. It's the same with all of our behaviors. It's just repetition, repetition, repetition. And because our subconscious mind ultimately, see, our reality is nothing but a selection of ideas that our subconscious mind has accepted. So if we want to change our reality, we have to change the ideas that are fixed in our subconscious mind. That's all we have to do. And the reason why those ideas are in there is because the subconscious mind can only accept it. It has no ability to reject. So when something's told over and over and over again to you, it will eventually accept that idea, and then you will see that result in your reality. Now, beliefs are formed very quickly, almost like a fingers clicking. And the reason why is because the subconscious mind will accept things almost immediately when there's a strong emotion attached to it. And limiting beliefs will go in just really quickly because there's a strong negative emotion attached. See, the subconscious mind don't care whether it's a negative emotion or a positive one, a negative thought or idea or a positive thought, it will just accept it. So when we're helpless and totally dependent on our environment, we're experiencing all sorts of things. We're seeing things that we perhaps shouldn't see. We're hearing things that we perhaps shouldn't hear. We're misinterpreting things as well. And it's all going in as conditioning. And when we're a child, all we have is our subconscious mind. So everything's going in. So we all need to look at it. You make a good point before, Joe. Like everyone has limiting beliefs, even if they're the best childhood with the best parents ever, they will still have limiting beliefs, and they will still run into stress if they're on the wrong track for them, because everyone is a unique person and everyone has their own vision and their own thing that they want to do. So that's how I see that.
Yeah, really good point, mate. Really good point. And the the repetition is so important. Like, because it with the belief system, if like a lot of parents do, and I've done it myself, you tell your kids, oh, be careful, be careful, be careful, don't run, be careful, trip, don't, be careful. We then just teach it. We've been taught to be cautious,
Mm.
like all the time. So like when an opportunity comes up, and you think, well, I don't know, like job opportunity. Oh no, be careful. It kicks in, the belief kicks in straight away, and then you might do it, and you're really stressed and worried about it because your subconscious is telling you you're not being careful.
Mm.
Been told to be careful your whole life. Now doing this thing that's not your normal thing, what are you doing? And then you're stressed and you got anxiety, and then you do it and you overcome it, and it's actually the subconscious going, oh, it wasn't that bad actually. I like this new place now. This is okay. So that is an example of a limiting belief, and when it could crop up in your life. But the repetition it just infuses it stronger and stronger and stronger. And if there's an emotion attached to it when it happens, then it can be a very strong belief that the subconscious holds on to, because the more emotion that's involved, the stronger the neural electrical connection is in your brain. You might not have the exact terminology, but that brings me on to what I was listening to this morning from Dr. Joe Dispenza in the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. He spoke about the cells in your brain, about how they connect, and he's done studies on it, and like MRI scans and whatnot, and they fuse the more and more and more of the repetition is to a limiting belief or non-limiting belief, empowering belief. They fuse more and more and more together. So he basically said the saying that sometimes something gets hardwired in your brain is actually truth behind it, because they will fuse more and more and more together, those cells, because one thought and another thought, they will connect together. So the belief system will get stronger and stronger and stronger, and the cells will link together and they basically fuse. So the more repetition, the stronger those cells in your brain link together, the stronger your subconscious will that belief will be. Um, so you should try and make them empowering beliefs, like I am statements every morning, like, and ones that are meaningful to you. Not like I am great and I am a positive person, but you gotta have more ones that are direct to the subconscious of what you want in your life. And then that's how you start to rewire your subconscious with empowering beliefs. Because if you do these beliefs, I am statements, or whatever positive statement for 66 days, you basically are creating new empowering beliefs to your subconscious. And that's the same with goal setting. Yeah, it's all the same stuff. You keep telling your subconscious the same thing, you might just turn into it. So why not try it? It's you've got nothing to lose. And you will always come up against limiting beliefs. Yeah, as I said before, everybody's got them. But it's recognizing what they are. A lot of people don't even realize they have them. A lot of people just get really stressed, going to pick the kids up from school, or they get really stressed driving in the car, because that's probably they watch their parents get really stressed and they've learned that belief. And people don't even realize that they've got limiting beliefs. They just say, oh, I hate going on planes because it stresses me out. That's a limiting belief.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I hate traffic, stresses me out. Limiting belief. Like there's something at play there. Yeah, there's loads and loads. If you just people are unaware of it. So the more you look at it and analyze yourself, um, the more you start to pick out these little beliefs. But you need to start looking at yourself and go, well, why? Why am I getting stressed today? Why am I getting stressed when I get the kids ready for school and we're all rushing to get out, getting the kids dressed and stuff like that for school, or, like, why am I stressed going to work? That, and then ask those questions and then investigate it. So yeah, I'm going to leave you finishing this one, Ant,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
finished on last week. So you can have the final, the final
Gnarly.
say.
Yeah, but no, that's really good. Yeah, we've got to look at ourselves. And like you say, a lot of people are unaware of their limiting beliefs. I know I was. I've only become aware of mine over the last few years. And, it's okay to be unaware of them. If you're watching this, then now you're probably going to be a little bit more aware of them. But it's funny what you say about the affirmations there, Joe, because a lot of people will say, well, that's a load of rubbish. I don't want to repeat a positive thing over and over and over again. And my answer to that is, well, let's create a negative one and you say that over and over and over again. Now, that person will then say, no, I'm not going to say that negative thing over and over again. And then you say, well, why? So, well, it might happen. Well, there you go then. So let's create a positive one and say it over and over again. So, yeah, that's how our subconscious mind works. It's our reality exists because of the ideas that are fixed in our subconscious mind. So if we can change that through independent thinking, you can change your reality. That's the end of the show, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.